Hi, this is Amit with Get 1031 Properties. When investing in real estate, returns are never guaranteed. However, Delaware Statutory Trust have a few mechanisms in place that may potentially mitigate risks. Here are 5 things to look for when selecting a DST. Number 1, sponsor and track record. One of the benefits of investing in a DST is that the sponsor is an institutional investor in real estate. Their experience could help them assess risk and better prepare for any unexpected issues that may arise. When evaluating a DST, make sure to interview each sponsor and scrutinize their track record. At the end of the day, an investor should feel comfortable with the sponsor they're ultimately planning on investing with. You want a manager and sponsor that have skin in the game. Number 2, look at the debt coverage ratio. If a DST has a loan, make sure to look at the debt coverage ratio. Typically, DSTs have a loan to value of approximately 50-55%. The debt coverage ratio is the ratio between the cash flow the property is producing after expenses such as payroll, taxes, maintenance, etc., and the annual debt service. Most of the DSTs I like have a debt coverage ratio of 2, which means that the property is generating enough net income to cover the debt service 2 times. In California, banks typically lend at a 1.2 debt coverage ratio. So what that means is that even if the income were to drop for an unforeseen reason, there is enough of a buffer to cover the debt service. Number 3, insurance. In addition to general liability insurance, most DSTs have business loss and rental loss insurance. In the event the income stops for some unforeseen reason, insurance may potentially come in to cover a gap in rent loss, typically up to 12 months. Although insurance won't cover indefinitely, it should provide the sponsor enough time to rectify any issues that are causing loss of income. Number 4, reserves. Under the DST structure, sponsors aren't allowed to go back to their investors for a capital call. Therefore, they have to have sufficient reserves in place for any foreseen and unforeseen expenses. Every DST program is different, but it is important to understand how much reserves the sponsor plans to have in place. If the reserves aren't used during the holding period, they're simply returned back to the investors once the property is sold. And lastly, number 5, demand notes. Demand notes are essentially money on demand. They are typically around $500,000 and should provide enough capital to remediate any problems. Most real estate investors don't have the mechanisms we discussed in place on their own rental properties, whether it's a single-family home, apartment building, or small strip center, which may make the DST a more desirable option, especially for investors looking to mitigate some of the risks. But please note, there are never ever guarantees when it comes to investing, and like with any real estate investment, there is the possibility of losing money.